Okay, good afternoon, everybody. By way of introduction, my name is Stepp. I'm the Commissioner at the New Hampshire Department of Revenue. I've been Commissioner since December of 2017, so just under 2 years. Immediately prior to that, I was the Assistant Commissioner. When I first became Commissioner, I kind of identified 3 areas where I wanted to focus my efforts at the department, and that was communication, customer service, and technology. So I'm going to touch on each of those areas as we talk today and give you an update about current happenings at the DRA. So starting with communication, shortly after I became Commissioner, we completed what we called a communications audit to better understand how we were communicating with both taxpayers and practitioners, and we've implemented a number of changes based on that audit. We've engaged with a public relations firm to help improve our communications, help improve how well our communications are getting out there, the reach of our communications, and also how our communications are written. We tend to write in a very technical way that might not be necessarily easy for taxpayers to understand. So we've made a number of improvements along those lines. We've also been participating over the years in more and more meetings like this, along with other conferences and association meetings, to help get the word out about what we're working on and just to kind of put a face with a name and provide the opportunity to reach out to us and ask questions. Our current communication efforts are focused on 2 different things. One is our technology, which I'll be talking about in a minute, and the other is the last legislative session. I'm sure Teresa is going to cover some of this as well, but it was a little wild. And we ended the fiscal year without a budget. Budget negotiations went throughout the summer. A final budget was signed in September, and it included a number of important tax provisions. This is actually my copy of the budget with all of the tabbed areas that the DRA is focused on. I won't get into all of this today, but I did just want to start the communication of what I think is a few important legislative changes coming in the next couple of years. First is possible adjustments for business tax rates. So tax rates for taxable periods ending on or after December 31st of 2021 are tied to the amount of revenue that will be received in fiscal year 20. We're in fiscal year 20 right now. That fiscal year ends on June 30th of 2020. If revenues are more than 6% ahead of plan, business tax rates will fall to 7.5% for business profits tax and 0.5% for business enterprise tax. If revenues are more than 6% below plan, then rates are going to increase, 7.9 for BPT and 0.675 for BET. If revenues land somewhere in the middle, business tax rates are going to stay the same. So stay tuned about business tax rates. The range that we're talking about is in the 160 million plus or minus, so it's a pretty big range of revenue. So it will take a lot, I think, to make the rates change. But the DRA is the ones that are going to be in charge with making that determination, and we'll get guidance out pretty soon after the end of the fiscal year. Another important change in House Bill 4 is conformity with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, including GILTI. For taxable periods beginning on or after January 1st of 2020, so coming up pretty quickly here, the Internal Revenue Code that will be referenced for New Hampshire is the code as of 12/31/18, so the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. We are currently working on guidance with respect to that, so stay tuned for technical information releases, rulemaking, that sort of thing. But 1/1/20, we're going to be tied to the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. Changes to apportionment. So there's 2 important changes to apportionment coming in the near future. The first is the shift from cost of performance to market-based sourcing for the apportionment of services. That change, so market-based sourcing, is going to be applicable for taxable periods ending on or after 12/31 of 21. Then, for taxable periods ending on or after 12/31 of 22, we'll be moving to single sales factor. So away from the current 3-factor double-weighted sales, we're moving strictly to single sales factor with market-based sourcing. Unless The Legislative Committee on Apportionment, which was created in the budget, votes in November of 2020 to rescind the single sales factor. So stay tuned on that. Single sales factor is still up in the air. The ultimate outcome will be determined by this Legislative Committee on Apportionment. But at least the first thing to know is the shift to market-based sourcing for taxable periods ending on or after 12/31 of 21. Other interesting tax changes included in the budget: taxation of e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes will be taxable effective 1/1/20, and the smoking age is increased from 18 to 19 years old. So we're working on making that change currently. Also, for anybody that prepares or is involved with the communication services tax, CST will include VoIP and prepaid wireless effective 1/1/2020. As I mentioned, there's a number of other tax provisions. I'm happy to answer any specific questions on these provisions. After this panel is done, I will stick around. But as I mentioned, at the very least, the department will be issuing technical information releases on these changes, and we're happy for you to reach out anytime to answer any questions. The second priority of the department is around customer service. So the employees of the DRA are really proud of the work that they do for taxpayers and tax practitioners. We routinely get phone calls that say, no one at the IRS picks up the phone, so we thought we'd try you. So we do answer our phones. We have a staff dedicated to doing that. They're very friendly. They're very nice to talk to for anybody that's called in. And I actually routinely receive feedback regarding interactions with our staff. It's often that people take the time out to give you poor feedback or to complain, but more and more recently, I'm getting positive feedback. I actually had a woman the other day call who had mentioned that her husband had passed away and she had some questions about the interest and dividends tax, and it was just a really hard time for her in what she was going through, but the staff was so nice and friendly to her that they really just were a bright spot in her day. So I obviously love getting that sort of feedback, but I want to ensure that we continue to get that sort of feedback. So we have been implementing a couple different things relative to ensuring that we continue to provide a high level of customer service. The first thing that we've done is we've begun recording the calls on our main incoming lines to use this as an opportunity for coaching and training. So if you call in, if you haven't called in a while, when you call in now, if you're not calling a direct line and you're just calling into our main customer service line, you'll hear a disclaimer that the phone call may be recorded. And we are monitoring those to make sure that the interactions with taxpayers and practitioners are friendly and helpful. And like I said, use it as training and coaching opportunities for staff. In addition, in the next couple of weeks, callers will have the opportunity to stay on the line at the end of the call for a very brief 2-question survey, where you will have the opportunity to evaluate the professionalism of the representative that you spoke with and the representative's knowledge to answer your question. So you'll rate them on a scale of 1 to 5 on both of those areas, and you'll have an option to also stay on the line and leave a voicemail. If there was some additional information that you wanted to provide, or if you wanted to just say, this was a really nice call, I enjoyed it, thanks very much, you'll have the opportunity to do so, and we'll obviously be monitoring those voicemails. These are just a couple of the ways that we're really trying to ensure that we are providing a high level of customer service and that we continue to do so. The last area that I kind of set out when I became commissioner was the area of technology. So last but not least, an update on our Revenue Information Management System, or what we call RIMS. For those of you that are not familiar, this is a new back-end technology system, and it'll be used by DRA staff, practitioners, and also taxpayers. So a little bit of history on this. Funding for this project came via a capital appropriation of just over $30 million that we received from the legislature in June of 2017. We're very thankful to the CPA Society for their support during that process. It was really helpful, and I think gave legislators a lot of comfort in what we were asking for and why it's important. Once we received the funding, we issued an RFP, we reviewed the submissions, we selected a vendor and negotiated a contract. And October 31st of 2018, the Governor and Executive Council approved our contract with Fast Enterprises. We got to work very quickly thereafter. I think actually our project manager was in the office the next day. So the implementation of our new system will occur over the course of 3 rollouts. The first of which is going live on Monday. So rollout 1 is going to include the meals and rentals tax, nursing facility quality assessment, and the Medicaid enhancement tax. Rollout 2, which is tentatively scheduled for early October of 2020, will include business taxes, the interest and dividends tax, and the communication services tax. All other tax types will occur approximately a year later in rollout 3. As you can guess, this has been a really exciting, also stressful time for the department as we've gone through this modernization effort. I've tried very hard to make sure that this is not just modernizing the technology, it's not just getting a shiny new system, but also discussing with staff about modernizing the way we do things to be more effective and efficient. Today, we're going to provide you a demonstration of Granite Tax Connect, which is our new online portal for taxpayers and practitioners. I'll introduce Lisa Crowley, who is the RIMS project director, along with Kat Allen and Mike Dees, who are from FAST. And before Lisa says a couple words about the project and before we do the demo, I just want to take an opportunity to say how proud I am of the staff of the DRA for the work that they've put into the project over the past year. For those of you that don't know, our current system that we're utilizing is over 30 years old. It's a green screen COBOL system. And it's been, as you can imagine, a significant undertaking. But I've been amazed on literally a daily basis as I see staff kind of step up to the challenge and embrace the opportunity that this product has provided for us. I'm not promising that there won't be bumps in the road, and we appreciate your patience in advance, or thank you in advance for your patience, because this is a large change for all of us. But the whole team, DRA and FAST, have worked really hard to get us where we are today, and we're all really excited for Monday.